Rupert Lowe, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I think my question is for Simon Ridley, who I see, Simon, from your CV, you've been involved in other national challenges such as COVID-19 and the Brexit situation. And you've been here doing this since 23, so you obviously have a great deal of knowledge about it. I mean, when I read this report, and I'm not sure I quite understood fully your response to the Chairman, I mean, when the NAO say to achieve value for money in its management of asylum, the government needs to coordinate and manage across the complex end-to-end system.
Rupert, sorry to stop you. Could you just tell us the paragraph on the page?
That is in the summary in the NAO report, paragraph 5.
Okay.
So, in my experience of running businesses don't work when they're in silos, and it strikes me that government is operating in silos. It furthermore strikes me that this is now a national emergency. So I would like to know, as part of this committee, what exactly you're going to do to ensure that all departments work together. There is a cross-governmental approach to this national crisis, and that the committee can feel that there is actually something being done to deliver value for taxpayers' money.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lowe. So the first thing to say is we really welcome this report, not just in the Home Office, but more broadly in government, because exactly as you say, it looks at the issue in a systemic way, not just a specific reform or a specific issue. Secondly, I am really clear and really conscious that the asylum system has been under enormous pressure for a long time. A set of changes and a set of issues that took place at the end of the last decade and through COVID meant that the government has been spending far too much on the asylum system, and we have been working incredibly hard over recent years to bring those costs down. And indeed, last financial year into the one currently running, we saved £700 million against Home Office spending, and we have got very significant savings targets in the spending review. We will only meet those if we are working in an end-to-end way. We have to get the right balance between real clarity on accountability for delivering change with the collaboration that is needed. So the change we've made internally is to create a specific asylum group, which Rania is leading. And so Rania is building not just the capability we need in the Home Office, but the boards and governance that we need across Whitehall to work with other departments, because we will only solve this problem if we can address the pressures not just in Home Office decision making, but in the appeal system. If we need to change the wider legislative and legal frameworks that enable people who want to frustrate the system and to frustrate removal. We've moved more resources into removals through immigration enforcement, so that we have been driving removals up, and we can continue to drive removals up. And then we need to be working with people beyond government, local authorities being a prime example.
So you have got a plan for the justice system to work with the Home Office, to work with basically local authorities. That's all underway, and there is a blueprint for that, which is going to be delivered on behalf of the British people. Is that what you're telling me?
So yes, and if I mean, just to take the justice system and the appeal system, and Joe and Emma might want to say more. We've approached this in stages, so that we can make progress in the short term, but build a long-term sustainable solution. So we are already in the Home Office supporting MOJ and including financially to increase capacity through both judicial recruitment and increasing the capacity in the legal aid system. Through the Border Security, Asylum and Immigration Act, there are changes in there which put statutory timetables on hearing appeals, and we are doing a lot of joint work to implement that, including improving data sharing. And then we have committed through the statement the Home Secretary made in the autumn to long-term sustainable reform through a new appeals body, which will require legislation and further change, so we can build the capacity in the short term to meet the immediate emergency pressures that we have got, but we need to build a longer term sustainable solution.
I think that's got to be a priority, but what concerns me is when I use my parliamentary office to ask questions of the Home Office on these issues, on virtually every occasion I get the Home Office does not hold the information sought in these questions at the level of granularity requested. And that's for information packs, recreational activities provided, cleaning services, franchising and furnishing and decorating, antisocial behaviour. A whole raft of questions that I ask, I get that answer. So that worries me. If you haven't got the granularity of data, you won't be able to manage the situation. And that particularly pertains to the subcontractor or the contractor contracts that you've got with people like Serco and Mears and other national providers who are providing asylum services to you. Basically, I've been to see the Minister. I have asked many parliamentary questions. I've drilled down. I find that there are contracts where hotel rooms have been fully paid for, i.e. the entire hotel's been taken and yet it's half full. I think there's a lack of knowledge and understanding of these complex contracts, both within the ministerial departments and also within your department. So, from the point of view of the taxpayer, if the private sector is indulging in very complex contracts which you're signing that aren't fit for purpose, then taxpayer money is going to be wasted massively. So again, I'd like to know, can we have complete transparency of what's in these contracts? When I ask the questions, I get that's a redacted version.
Okay.
So
I think, Rupert, we've got the message.
No, but Jeffrey, it's very important that we've got to have transparency on this if we are to get to the bottom of it. And I don't think we have transparency. And I think we haven't got transparency because very often the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
So shall I come in from Ministry of Justice because you were asking about the whole system, and we can talk about the detail maybe a bit later, but just to support what Simon's saying, actually we recognise that there needs to be a different approach to not just asylum but the whole criminal justice system and the way that we work together and the way that we lead that system as a collective, not as distinct processes. And that's not to take away from staff who are working really hard on the front line on various parts of the system, and we should thank them for everything they do. But as leaders, working across the system is really important. That's why we're welcoming the NAO report, which is one of the first to look across the system. I think that's extremely helpful. But my role as Permanent Secretary of MOJ is to make sure that we do jointly own the system. We use data together, so we have shared management information so that we can take decisions that we all agree with and that we all take stewardship of the system. So we'll be doing some more thinking about how we do that and how we continue to do that. But there's some good examples that Simon's already mentioned, some of them today, but you'll pick up on some of the work we're doing around digital and data, around the new appeals body that you'll want to talk about. As Simon said, around judicial recruitment, which shows much better join-up across the system. So I feel confident that we are entering into a different way of working, which I hope reassures the committee, but I'm sure you will want to pick up on some of the detail as we move through.
Chair, if I may, I'll give a very short response, because we may come back to some of these things, to the things Mr. Lowe mentioned, because as we've talked about at this committee and indeed others, there have been significant challenges with how the accommodation system has developed over many. It's built on contracts that were signed in 2019. The use of hotels came much later and was not at that point intended. To the point on, and we have done a lot in the department to strengthen our contract management and our commercial functions to support the scrutiny of that, and as a result have got money back for the taxpayer. We also, the Home Affairs Select Committee did a very long report into all of these issues, including into the detail of the contracts. And one of the things we have been doing in recent months is again, the Permanent Secretary requested an external review of our commercial functions in this area, so we can get further challenge and make sure that we are continuing to develop our capability as best we can.